Harambee! Neno hili si hivyo. Mambo ni matatu.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome back to our channel once again. Rigathi Gachagua has officially declared his bid for the presidency of the Republic of Kenya in 2027. And two things are likely to happen, which I'm going to explain here.
I have been saying that of all the aspirants, you are best placed to run for president. Mr. Gachagua, can you confirm to us tonight if this is something that you are doing? Are you interested in running for president of the Republic of Kenya?
What a question, Yvonne. Am I interested? Why not? I am a candidate to be president of the Republic of Kenya. I am qualified. I have support. I am looking for more support. And I'll be on the ballot as a candidate for president.
And Rigathi Gachagua even went further and addressed the issue of the constitution in regards to his impeachment.
Let's talk about you being on the ballot. How will that happen with your impeachment?
What do you mean? William Ruto, Uhuru Kenyatta had charges against him, crimes against humanity. In The Hague, he was elected as president.
They were not convicted. They were facing charges at the ICC.
Nobody has been convicted.
Do you think that's a fair comparison? The charges they were facing at the ICC.
What the Constitution of Kenya says. What the Constitution of Kenya says. What? I just want to tell you what it says.
For a moment. Can I ask the question?
Okay.
Okay. Do you think it's a fair comparison that they were facing charges at the ICC, facing charges? You, on the other hand, based on the laws of this country, faced charges at the Senate and were found guilty of some, not all, but enough to impeach you as deputy president.
John Weluke, the MP for Sirisia, was convicted and jailed for 74 years. Okay? Before the elections. Okay? He filed an appeal before the High Court. When the elections came, the law is very clear that the Constitution guarantees your right to file for elective office, even if you have been convicted, if you have not exhausted the remedies available in law. Okay? Rigathi Gachagua has a matter before the High Court. It has not even been heard. It needs to go to the High Court, Court of Appeal, the Supreme Court, until the Supreme Court says Rigathi Gachagua was impeached properly.
And if that happens, if the Supreme Court,
I'm saying if the Supreme
Court, that's what I'm saying.
If it says yes,
if you go all the way,
that's what I'm saying.
And the Supreme Court says upholds your impeachment.
If it does yes, if the Supreme Court opposes my impeachment, then I cannot run.
Okay.
It has not. The High Court has not. The Court of Appeal has not. Until that has happened, Rigathi Gachagua remains free to file for office.
Ladies and gentlemen, should Rigathi Gachagua be on the ballot in 2027? Two things are likely to happen in the Republic of Kenya. Number one, Rigathi Gachagua might actually shock the entire country by becoming the 6th president of the Republic of Kenya. Because if you look at it critically, Rigathi Gachagua is being dismissed. And I remember what happened in 2022. In 2022, I was not involved really in Raila Odinga's campaigns, but I was in constant communication with Raila Odinga's campaign secretariat. One thing was very clear. Raila Odinga's team, or the Azimio for that matter, was sure that there was no way William Ruto was going to defeat Raila Odinga. Because we are talking of two giants. Raila Odinga, the owner of the people, and Uhuru Kenyatta, the owner of the deep state. And the maths was simple. Raila has the people. And the only thing that has always stopped him from becoming the president was the deep state. And Uhuru Kenyatta was now in charge of his campaign. They were sure that there was no way William Ruto was going to defeat Raila Odinga. As we speak, William Ruto is the president of the Republic of Kenya. That's exactly what we are witnessing today. William Ruto's government, or Kenya Kwanza for that matter, and I'm talking to a lot of people within the political circles, they are 100% sure that there's no way Rigathi Gachagua will defeat William Ruto. Because William Ruto has the support of Raila Odinga, just like the way Raila Odinga had the support of Uhuru Kenyatta. So the truth of the matter is that Rigathi Gachagua might actually run and shock Kenyans by winning. And that's going to form the basis of this analysis. And the second thing which might happen, and I'm not going to go into the details about it, is that if Rigathi Gachagua were to run today, his bid might actually be a blessing for William Samoei Arap Ruto. Because if there's one thing William Ruto is praying for, is for Rigathi Gachagua to run. Because they believe if Rigathi Gachagua were to run, then it's going to be a walkover for them. Rigathi is going to split the opposition. It would be easy for them to run the anti-Mount Kenya narrative. And they believe so. I want you guys to listen to this gentleman. Because sometimes when I talk of these things, most of you believe that I've been bought. Because in this video, I want to explain to you guys, I'm starting to believe that if William Ruto and the team are not careful, Rigathi Gachagua might actually become the 6th president of the Republic of Kenya. Watch.
Wakenya, kama tunataka Rais William Ruto asikue rais tena 2027, Rigathi Gachagua sio lazima asimame kiti. He can support someone else kama Kalonzo, ndiposa Ruto akue one term. Lakini kama Rigathi atalazimisha akue kwa hiyo kinyang'anyiro cha urais, Ruto atapata second term.
Good morning, Kenyans. My Wembe point today is the interview the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua had yesterday with Yvonne Okwara in Citizen TV. I have this to say. Gachagua can be a blessing for us to send Ruto home one time. He also can be a curse in the opposition. A blessing in that he's exposing the rot in this government because he was an insider. A case in example, President Ruto has been accused by even international community for working with the rebels and even Al-Shabaab. When Gachagua was asked by Yvonne if there is any evidence, he said not even evidence, he was there. He is the one Ruto alituma airport kuendea the Sudan rebel, head of rebels, anaitwa Hemedi. Yvonne akamuuliza, maybe it was an official meeting ya kuongea about the security of Sudan. Akasema no, he was in that meeting and Ruto and the rebel, head of rebels in Sudan, Hemedi, they were discussing about gold business. Imagine when children and women are dying in Sudan, that Ruto was discussing gold with the leader of the rebels. So he's coming out as a bold person who is exposing this regime. Also, Gachagua can be a curse. In that, ile mtindo wa wanasiasa, kudhani maybe you are saying things and watu wameanza kupenda. Gachagua ameanza kusema that he will be there in the race for the president 2027. That lazima atavai. Let me tell you, Ruto will want a situation where the issues will be forgotten, where the killings, all the killing he has done will be forgotten, where all the plundering, ata ipesa sha, will be forgotten. And he will want a context to take chances, because Ruto knows the shame of one term is inevitable atenda nyumbani. But he will want to take his chances na kuuliza watu, between this kettle, which is black, and between this pot, who do you want? When Kenyans will not go to an election of issues, but between huyu mbaya Gachagua na mimi, ama mimi mbaya na huyu Gachagua, munataka nani? That is what Ruto will want. So I told Kenyans, if Gachagua will be cleared by IBC, mujue it is Ruto's card. He will even go ahead, kudanganya ni funding whatever, and Ruto, he can even fund him chini ya maji without Gachagua knowing, so that he can be a presidential candidate. That is the curse I'm talking. But he's a blessing. For me, the reason I support Gachagua, I want him to be like the biblical Samson.
But let us not talk about that for now. For now, I want to try and explain why sometimes I believe that if Kenya Kwanza are not careful, then Rigathi Gachagua might actually just surprise them, just the way Ruto surprised Kenyans by becoming the 6th president of the Republic of Kenya. Why am I saying so? Number one, there is one thing called the winning formation. Or do we call it the tyranny of numbers? Where are the numbers for Ruto? Where are the numbers for Kalonzo? Where are the numbers for Matiang'i? And where are the numbers for Rigathi Gachagua? That is the question. Rigathi Gachagua is now Mount Kenya kingpin. If Rigathi Gachagua were to run today, the entire Mount Kenya will rally around Rigathi Gachagua more than they rallied around Uhuru Kenyatta, more than they rallied around William Ruto. That's the fact. And because Mount Kenya is the home of numbers, those numbers might actually count. But this is a challenge. Rigathi commands only Mount Kenya. Where will he get the rest of the votes? That's where the winning formations comes in. What do you think will happen if the joint opposition decides that for them, they're only interested in stopping William Ruto? And then they agree that you guys come with the numbers. And in their formation, they agree that Rigathi Gachagua becomes the presidential candidate because he has the numbers, probably has the funds. And then let's say Kalonzo agrees to become the running mate. And then they agree that Matiang'i becomes the prime cabinet secretary. Huh? Do you think that ticket cannot win? Because William Ruto's prayer is that this team, as long as Rigathi Gachagua is on the ballot, there is no way Kalonzo will support him, and also there's no way Matiang'i will support him. But what will happen if Rigathi is the presidential candidate and these guys agree to play the balls? If that were to happen, William Ruto will kiss goodbye to the presidency at 6 a.m. on the election day. That's number one. Number two, there is the element of campaign funding. The 2027 presidential elections in the Republic of Kenya is going to be the most expensive presidential elections in the Republic of Kenya. Why? William Ruto, and based on what is happening in the Republic of Kenya, is determined to win back the seat. The math is not adding up for the president. So what is he trying to use? The power of money. You go to the opposition, there's Rigathi, there is Matiang'i, then there is Kalonzo. When it comes to campaign financing, let us excuse Kalonzo out of it. He's out of the picture. For Matiang'i, if I had to get the support of Uhuru Kenyatta, and of course having served in that docket, and you know there are people who are not very happy with Ruto, then they can fund his campaign. So Matiang'i might have the money. What about Rigathi Gachagua? The other day, Rigathi Gachagua was in the US. And you saw how Kenyans, or do we call them Mount Kenya, in the diaspora, raised money for him. The Mount Kenya tycoons will easily agree to support Rigathi Gachagua if he were to be nominated as the joint candidate. They'll pump their money there. So when it comes to financing, so when it comes to campaign financing, I'm looking at the opposition and I see Rigathi as having an upper hand because there's that determination by the Kikuyus, or Mount Kenya for that matter, to remove Ruto from office because Ruto betrayed them by working with Raila Odinga. So they can easily fund that campaign. And when I talk of funding that campaign, I understand it. Because most of the support I get from this channel, and you normally see the names there, are mostly from the mountain. Sometimes I ask myself, if I was one of the Kikuyus, probably most of them would be supporting. So they know how to rally and support a cause. And right now the cause is removing Ruto. Matiang'i might get the funding, but the real funding will come from Rigathi. So if these guys were to sit down and they agree, we are going to run for the presidency, wewe kuja na namba zako, where are they? The other thing, weka pesa uko nayo chini before you get into other details. So Rigathi might have an edge. And that would mean being closer to the presidency. Number three, and this is something which has helped him, his brand of politics. Rigathi Gachagua's brand of politics resonates with Kenyans' brands of politics. Kenyans love firebrand politicians. The reason why most people supported Ruto in the last election was not because Ruto was a genius or something. It was because of William Ruto's brand of politics at that time. Raila has always been loved because of his brand of politics. Today, Raila Odinga is facing challenge because his politics has changed. So Kenyans are not comfortable with the brand of politics he's playing. Why do you think Sifuna and Babu are very popular today? It's because of their brand of politics. And because of Rigathi Gachagua's brand of politics, there is a way he's appealing to most Kenyans today. And that's why if you are to run, there are Kenyans who would vote for him just on the account of his brand of politics. Number 4, the failure by the opposition to present a strong candidate to defeat Ruto. You see, there's a general consensus in the Republic of Kenya today that William Ruto is the easiest president to remove from office through the ballot. The question has always been, who can remove him? At some point, there was the feeling that the only person who could remove him was Raila Odinga. But Raila Odinga is now with him, which means Raila is now out of that equation. Who else? Kalonzo. There's a general consensus that Kalonzo is a bit, not really weak, that would be harsh, but soft to remove Ruto. Then there's Matiang'i, considered strong, abrasive, but is new in politics. Now Rigathi Gachagua. You don't need rocket science to understand that Rigathi Gachagua has managed to deal ruthlessly with William Ruto as we speak, to an extent that Ruto can no longer dare even challenge Rigathi Gachagua. So the failure to produce a strong candidate might propel Rigathi to be the sole presidential candidate for the opposition. If that were to happen, the only challenge now is the third force that has emerged. Because if you have to ask me, that third force is going to complicate a lot of equation for even Ruto. And lastly, if a euphoria is going to be created, I remember during the last election, William Ruto managed to create euphoria in the mountain. And the song was that, hata kama ye ni mwizi, we'll be voting for our thief. If Rigathi will be able to generate a momentum, a euphoria, because Kenyans are very angry today with Ruto, that euphoria can actually rally all Kenyans who are angry and bitter with William Ruto. And if he were to be nominated, he can run on that euphoria until he becomes the president of the Republic of Kenya. But the downside of it, and this is something most of you guys don't want to hear, if Rigathi Gachagua were to run for the presidency, chances of William Ruto being re-elected again are very, very, very high. So it's a maths that someone will have to sit down and think through it properly. I don't know what you think. That's my take. Until next time, this is Lee Makwiny. Bye-bye.